Today's sponsor is Advancement Courses. Their spring sale is happening now. So stay tuned for how to save 20% on your summer PD. Hello, remarkable educators. Many of you are preparing for the summer. So today's show is for you. 5 ways to make the most of your summer. Episode 505.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with my friend Linda Kardamis from Teach from the Heart about how to make the most of our summer. Linda, we got to be intentional, don't we?
Absolutely.
How can we make the most out of our summer?
Well, the first thing I have is to choose to prioritize rest and refreshment, meaning don't feel guilty about those things. We work so hard during the school year, and if you don't take time in the summer to intentionally rest and refresh, you're not going to have the stamina and be ready come next fall.
So that means we don't immediately get out of school and decide to clean out our worst closet.
Right. It's fine to tackle projects. Obviously, we want to get a lot done, but you also need to plan downtime and things that rejuvenate and refresh you.
I love that. So when my kids were little, we did summer posters, and everybody got a poster, including me, and we drew things on our poster that we wanted to do that summer. And it was kind of a way for the kids to show me what they wanted to do. But I always encouraged them to draw on there how they wanted to rest. So we would be on a tube, going down the river or whatever. But that is just so important. And I'm probably one of the worst sometimes. Okay, what's our second one?
A second one is to have a realistic summer to-do list, meaning keep it somewhat minimalistic. So I think sometimes some of us, it depends on our personality, but some of us look at the summer and say, I'm going to get all this done for school next year. I'm going to finish all these things around the house. And we get overwhelmed before we even start and end up doing hardly any of it. So I think it's better to have a realistic summer to-do list. These are the things, and to ask ourselves, what things, if I had them done, would make the first weeks or months of school go more smoothly? What few things can I realistically do that would help both at home and at school, and just have that? Anything else can be a bonus, right? But just have a minimalist, realistic summer to-do list.
Oh, that's so great. And, just starting the school year, having whatever that worst thing is already done is just fantastic. Because, there have been so many times I set those big, long lists and I'm working like crazy the week before because I don't want to feel like a failure.
Right.
So, okay, what's our next one?
The next one is to plan some time to reflect. So to stop and think back on what went well this last school year, what didn't go well, what do I want to change? And it's really important to schedule that. Just put it, even if you schedule it for weeks out, if you don't want to tackle it yet, just put it in your calendar or, on your phone, set yourself a reminder to have a time to reflect. And we actually have a tool at teachfortheheart.com/reflect that you can use, or you can, do your own reflection.
I think that's so important to reflect and schedule that thinking time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a chair. I call it my prayer and thinking chair. And those are the things I do in that chair. And I got that from John Maxwell. So he didn't call his prayer and thinking chair, but he said, you need a thinking chair. So I was like, okay, cool. Okay. What's our next one there, Linda?
The next one, I like to read a good teaching book every summer. Some people, if you want to dive into bigger PD, take a course or something, you can do that. But just getting a book that you're excited to read, and that's often enough to just get some fresh ideas in a light, easy format where you don't feel overwhelmed by having to plow through this whole big thing.
And I even recently had someone on the show who'd made a graphic novel about teaching. And
how fun.
That's like reading a cartoon. I know, it's a lot of fun. Okay, what's the next one?
Well, the last thing I have, and this is kind of actually goes back to what you were saying about when in the beginning of the summer you would get your kids out and you say, what are the things we want to do? I think that's really important sometime in the beginning of the summer to sit down and think, what activities and events do I want to do? So we talked about resting, we talked about getting to-do lists, but what friends do I want to meet up with? What activities do I want to do sometime this summer? And to get them on the calendar, because too often we get to the last week of summer and we're trying to cram not only all the work we have to do, but also all the fun things we forgot to have time to do. So I think it's smart to sit down in the beginning and think, who do I want to connect with? What do I want to do over this this summer and get them on the calendar.
Oh, these are such great ideas. Linda, can you recall a summer when you were teaching that you were like, okay, this was the best summer, and why?
I can't necessarily distinguish between the different summers, but I think some of the things that made a summer good was when I did read a book that gave me fresh ideas. I do remember, especially between my first and second year of teaching, I had a rough first year. And so I reread the first days of school and I just planned and I had a good strategy. And so that always really helped me, reading a good book, but also balancing it with time to relax and to refresh as well.
I have a saying in my hall, it says we don't remember days, we remember moments. And I think that sometimes those moments, and I'll tell you, the first days of school, the second time I read it for me was much more impactful from the first. The first time I read it, there was just so much I didn't know that it didn't make as much sense.
Me too.
Yeah. And I read it once with a PLC at my whole school. That was the third time I read it was with my PLC. And that was really cool because some of the veteran teachers were given ideas. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be so much of a better teacher just because they were like, oh, this is what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I read that between my first and second year and also between my second and third year. So I read that one 3 times.
So, Linda, you specialize in motivating and encouraging teachers. So would you give a short pep talk to all of our teachers as we finish up about really making this summer a special moment for them?
Well, first, I would say if you're not done with school, just keep at it. Don't give up. Don't count down the days. Once it's done, you can't come back. So make the most of it. And then over the summer, just enjoy the time. Choose to, like I said, make rest a priority and just enjoy these moments, right? So often we look ahead to what's coming in the future, but just enjoy each day as you have it and make the most of it.
Some great advice. And also the free guide. Will you give us the link again for that free guide, Linda?
teachfortheheart.com/reflect.
Linda has a show also. I love to listen to her podcast. She has a great website. And my assistant principal at my new school is the first one who told me about you, Linda. And I just love all that you do. So this is a great show to kick us off into the summer. And remember, teachers, as Linda said, finish well, finish with no regrets, teach until the last day. I know the last day for me sometimes is really hard because I see all the things that I haven't done. And instead I have to sit down and list all the things I have done and not feel like a failure. But this is a time I hope that you can heal. You know, folks will say, oh, school's winding down. And I'm like, school doesn't wind down. It crashes. You know, it's like a crash test dummy. Yeah. And I don't, get the summer's quote off. I heal. And that's what it kind of feels like when you're a teacher. So teachers, I just hope you take that time. Thanks, Linda.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Now is the perfect time to plan your summer. Go to advancementcourses.com/coolcat and use the offer code COOL20. That's COOL20 and get 20% off your summer PD courses. That's just $120 per graduate credit hour or $160 for 50 clock hours. You can take courses on helpful topics like social emotional learning, classroom management, teacher wellness, special education classes, and more. You have over 240 graduate level courses to choose from in 19 different subject areas. Go to advancementcourses.com/coolcat today and use the offer code COOL20 to get your 20% discount. Tell your friends and plan your PD today.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.